Welcome to CARE Conversations with Clarity Financial Solutions, where through education, we move you from confusion to clarity on all topics touching retirement. Join us as we learn and grow from others' experience on entering into the next phase of life with peace of mind and conviction that you have a team of experts to help you, educate you, and let you know your unique retirement is upon you. So it's time to take a deep inhale, a slow exhale, and walk into this next phase of life confident and with clarity. Welcome, everybody out there to CARE Conversations with Clarity, where we seek to create a community of curious consumers on topics touching retirement. My name is Amanda Stillwell. I'm your host. This is season 1, and we are closing down season 1. This is actually episode 11, and we are going to get into the continuation of a topic that has a lot of my clients and people I meet as prospects scratching their heads, and that's taxes in retirement. As we mentioned last week, oftentimes you're told when you're working and you are, earning money, putting your head down, doing all that you're supposed to do, saving for a rainy day. You're told that put that money in a tax deferred account, get that deduction that year, let it grow tax deferred. And when you're in retirement, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Well, friends, I'm sorry to say that's not always the case out there. How many of you are in a lower tax bracket in retirement? If you're listening to this, probably not very many. So tons of stuff going on right now. Policy changes, new things in the news, new things about Social Security, new things about Roth IRAs, none of which have been passed into law, a lot of which are designed to give you a little scare. So stay buckled in to what is true, what is real. Keep tuning in to what's on the horizon, but understand that planning is paramount when it comes to your retirement. Here at Clarity, we meet with clients every week, individuals, couples, businesses, and they are trying their best to understand these new topics that enter into their life when they approach retirement. Things like Medicare, which we covered in the first 2 episodes. All of a sudden, you're having to decide, right, which healthcare plan is right for you. And you're wondering why you pay more for Medicare Part B and Part D than your neighbor, cousin, friend. It is confusing. And I want you to have a good foundation as we move into these next seasons to really be able to plug into what you've learned and then add on to as we bring in new topics. Now you're trying to understand, what happens to you or your loved one if one of you have a long-term care event and you need assistance with activities of daily living in order to have a super high quality of life. Still living at home, still going to play golf, still doing all the things, right? Loving life, living life, but you just need assistance with activities of daily living to have that high quality of life. And that care has a price tag attached, but it's important. So how do we prevent that from eroding our portfolio? And then we talked about Social Security maximization and so many things around Social Security that advisors like myself need to understand and not silo off Social Security or not do some kind of algorithm to have, best case, you should do XYZ. Best case is dependent on every single individual, right? What their lifestyle is, what their family history is, what their medical conditions are, how much other money they have, are they going to retire early, what kind of legacy do they want to leave, So please know it depends is a 2 words that I use a lot in my practice because it's your retirement. It is your specific and unique retirement, and our team of experts come alongside you. It's our job to quarterback it, but to pull in those special teams coaches that will allow you to absolutely be at peace and have a really clear understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And lastly, last topic was taxes and retirement. And last week, right? So last week we talked a lot about taxes and retirement and how things just can sneak up on you. And now all of a sudden you're supposed to understand net investment tax, and you're supposed to understand this thing called the income adjustment, or you might hear someone call it an IRMA. What's an IRMA, right? I mean, there's so many things that without extensive reading on specific to distribution planning and this specific time of life, without all of this information, without studying it, without reading up on it, sometimes you feel like you're absolutely walking into a forest where it is dark and dreary and there are things hopping out and trying to get you around every corner. So it's my job to put that tour guide hat on and to give you some tips on navigating these things. And I want to start this week talking about that kind of brain teaser. Oh, this light, that's going to be a problem. But anyway, looks like I have a halo. I don't. But we'll talk about that later. So what is such a big deal about someone in retirement having X amount of money? Let's just say $100,000. Could be 100, 500, million, doesn't matter. But they have that amount of money. Some of it might be traditional tax-deferred IRA money. So money like you've taken a deduction when you put the money in the account, and it's grown tax-deferred, but that definition of traditional IRA, tax-deferred money, means that when you pull it out, it's going to land on top of your other earned income. So that's one type of money that may be in one account. And then you have another type of money that's just money you've saved and you were tired of getting hardly any interest at the bank, depending on interest rate environment. I know it's high right now, but higher last year and going to be lower soon. But in reality, like just in general, right? You're tired of not getting this much interest as you'd like at the bank, so you invest it in a brokerage account, okay? And it grows. And then you sell that investment and you have what's called a capital gain, either short or long term, depending on the type of money. So now you pay capital gain tax on that. So traditional IRA, tax deferred, you put it in, take a deduction, let it grow tax deferred, pull it out. You have to pay tax on it when you draw it out. Contribution limits apply and all that jazz. We'll get into that in a different season. But the other type of money, after tax money, you saving it, tired of getting very little interest at the bank, put it in a brokerage account, invest it in some stocks, bonds, ETFs, commodities, gold, whatever. It grows or it loses, but whatever it does, you either have to pay a capital gain or you have a capital loss that is then taken into consideration on your taxes. And then you have money in the bank, right? Savings and checking, maybe CDs, different kinds of money, accessible. And then there's this thing called a Roth IRA, and not everyone can contribute, but all people can convert. And that's a topic for this episode. So with a Roth IRA, also qualified, meaning the IRS is designated to have specific variables on how it's treated when it comes out of the account and when it goes into the account. So a Roth IRA is an IRS qualified pool of money account, right? And you pay tax on it when you put it in the account. Whether you've contributed or converted, you pay tax that year. It grows tax-free. So all of the growth that you're going to get is currently in today's world by law tax-free. And when you pull it out, it's 100 cents of every dollar is yours. And this is my favorite part. It goes to your legacy tax-free as well. So who knows what will happen in the future, but that is the law today. And my favorite thing to do is allow people to keep the money that they make, and every dollar that is yours and goes into your account without paying tax on it first in retirement, when your tax rate is supposed to be lower, is a win. And whether you ascribe to the thought that tax rates are going to go up or tax rates are going to go down, that is an important topic. If tax rates stay the same, irrelevant if you convert the amount or not, if you're given the same rate of return. But if you ascribe to the fact that we are in a relatively low tax bracket, if you look historically speaking, as far as top marginal tax rates, then any dollar you convert is a win. So what are ways for me to control my taxes in retirement? That's the topic for today. And we're going to start with the brain teaser, just like we started last episode. Okay, let me pull the slide up and we can chat through this little brain teaser. Oh, I have to hit a specific button. I always forget what I'm doing. Not good when you're trying to do this, podcast, TV thing. So here's the brain teaser. Bill is retired. Okay. He is done punching a clock. He has a taxable income of $48,988, which lands him, as you see, in the tax brackets. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you, if I can somehow. Wait, I don't think I knew how. Anyway, I won't do that because I don't know how to do that. But if he is going to be a single person filing tax, you're going to look right over here and you'll see 22,000, 47,000, 22%, 47,151 to 100,525. So that's where he lands as far as his earned income. Now, a lot of people don't understand tax rates, but is he going to pay 22% on every single dollar? No, he's not, right? So that's his top marginal tax rate. If you don't know what that means, reach out, engage. We can go over it for you. That $48,000 includes $40,000 of IRA money, income that he draws out of his tax deferred account, and he adds it to his earned income. Okay. So he also has $37,500 of Social Security benefits, and not 100% of those are taxable. But because of his income level, most of his Social Security is. Okay, so that's important to know. So hold that in your hat. Now, he wants to go to a concert. We talked about going to see Willie Nelson. Let's say a cover band. Pick your favorite band, right? Phil Collins, James Taylor, whatever. So he's going to see a band and he needs $1,000 extra. Now, just like we were talking about a few minutes ago, he has lots of money in the bank, checking and savings. He has money in after-tax savings where, remember, when he sells, he'll pay capital gain if he has a gain, or he could actually realize a capital loss if the market is down, but he can still get to the money he needs. Two different places, right? Bank or brokerage account that is non-qualified or after-tax savings. So he decides, though, you know what, I'm just going to go to my IRA. No biggie. What I want to do is what I'm used to. Calls his broker sends $1,000 over, adds to his earned income, right? So his thought process, as yours might be, if he's in the 22nd percent top marginal tax bracket, that he would pay what? How much would he pay on $1,000? Right? How much? What do you think? So if he pays 22 cents in federal income tax for every dollar, that would be logical 22nd percent tax bracket, right? 22% of $1 is 22 cents. $1,000, $220, right? Well, that's not what happened. Okay. Why? Why do we think? Right? And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm not going to go into uber deep detail because we're going to talk with my clients one-on-one about this super deep. But for you out there, just so you understand, in concept, right? Social Security is money we receive. We can receive it at 62 at a reduction. We can receive it at full retirement, which is based on your birth year, anywhere between 66 and 67, right? Or we can let that Social Security income roll up until 70. Different topic. And if you remember, we talked about that with Hamilton Morales from Financial Independence Group. But for those people that decide to retire, pull the trigger, get their Social Security income, if they have other earned income and they are before full retirement, that's a gotcha. And we're going to talk about that in this episode. But in this case, it's kind of also a gotcha because based on his income, every dollar that he draws out of his Social Security, of his IRA, in addition to what he's already drawing out, he is going to have to pay additional tax on Social Security. So get your pen out. In today's law, today is January what? Let me look. Today is the 28th, January 28th of 2025. And Social Security is taxed on your total income. So what is on your tax returns? How you file taxes, right? Married filing jointly, head of household, single. That's very important. So if you make certain income limits, you may pay absolutely no tax on your Social Security. Congratulations, all of it is yours. If you make other income limits higher, up to, and those are two really important keywords, up to 50% of your Social Security taxable income. So these Social Security amounts, so in Bill's case, $35,700 could land, 50% of that could land on top of his IRA income. And then other people who make even higher amounts of other income outside of Social Security, 85% of their Social Security benefit could be added to their taxable income. In Bill's case, every dollar in addition of his $40,000 that he's already drawing out, every dollar over that he pulls out of his IRA because of his income, 85 cents is added to his taxable income. Another 85 cents of his Social Security is added to his taxable income. So instead of $220 for that $1,000 or 22%, by the time you end up doing the math, it's $407 is what he has to pay taxes on. On that $1,000 distribution, he pays $407 additional tax because of the amount of money he makes. 85% of his Social Security is subject to tax up to 85%. So for every dollar, in addition to what he's already drawing out because of his income limit, so it's not just because he did it, but it's because of how much money he makes, he lands in that bracket where up to 85% of his Social Security is taxable. Every additional dollar, he has to also add 85 cents of his Social Security benefit to it. So $1 in IRA, 85 cents of Social Security. $1 of IRA, 85 cents of Social Security. Okay, so really important to know. Here's the question I ask people a lot. Could he have done it another way? He had money. He had money, and like I said, he had money in a brokerage account. He had money in checking and savings. So if he went to his checking account and drew out another $1,000, it would have saved him $407. Okay, so extrapolate that out, right? So we're talking about $1,000, but imagine if it's much more. So these are important topics to understand. Can he avoid paying tax? No. But can he avoid that 407? Absolutely. Just by where he pulls the money out. Okay. So type of money matters. Where you are, income tax bracket matters. And how much of your Social Security is subject to tax matters. Okay. And I think it's also important to think about when you're pulling money out of an IRA, right, and it's in the market, what do we have to think about? If it's subject to tax and we want $1,000 in our checking account to go see Willie Nelson, do we have to pull out $1,000? No. So we have to pull out whatever is going to equal $1,000. So 1,000 plus the tax that we would have paid on that amount. And if the market's down, we're locking in a loss, then paying tax, and then we're left with that $1,000. So keep in mind, lots of things go into planning, and dominoes do fall. Sometimes for a positive, and sometimes for an aha, and sometimes for an ouch. So I think it's really important to understand, not that you're going to pay tax, right? Because we all are. That's part of being an American. It's the greatest country in the world. But how we control it up to our control limit and understanding why it's happening. Okay. So I want to go to another $1,000 example. This one I think is pretty interesting. Some people think it's a little crazy, but for me, let's see, is that it? I'm trying to get to it. Let's see if this is it. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger if I can remember how. Okay. So we're going to go to my friends George and Martha. So George and Martha are high wage earners. They are, once again, under the impression as they're earning, as they're saving, that they are going to make, they're going to be in what kind of tax bracket when they retire? Lower, right? Well, now they have rental income coming in. They have their Social Security coming in. They have pension coming in. They have something called required minimum distributions coming in. They have money coming in, and they can't stop it. They could sell the house and then they have a giant gain, right? They could not draw their required minimum distributions out, and now they have to pay the government a penalty. You can't get around it. I guess they could call Social Security and say, hey, you know what? I decided not to receive my Social Security benefit for the next year or two. I just don't want to pay tax on it. Who's going to do that? I mean, nobody. So, but I do want to talk about it. So George and Martha, they need to watch out for something that I call Aunt Irma. Aunt Irma is that family friend that no one wants. And Irma is an income adjustment to your Medicare premiums based on your income. Okay? Some people know about Aunt Irma, some people don't, and she just shows up at Thanksgiving, and she is not a happy welcome guest. But in this case scenario, that doesn't make sense. In this scenario, George and Martha, they have Medicare Part B and D premiums to pay. Okay. They make $322,000. That is their modified adjusted gross income in 2022. So this is January of 2025. I have not yet updated these slides. So keep in mind that your income 2 years from today is what determines your Part B and D premiums. So it's a 2-year deferral. So in this case, in 2022, $322,000 is their modified adjusted gross income. That's going to affect them 2024 premiums. That's why we're talking about it. So they want to sell stock. They have this gain and they're like, you know what, let's just sell that off. It's $1,000 gain, right? They don't need to sell it. They just were like, why not? So you would think, based on their income, that they would owe long-term capital gains, which at their income level is 15%. And then they have an extra little tax called net investment tax, and that's because of their income and their age, and they have to pay an additional 3.8%. So instead of 15%, it's 18.8% on that $1,000. No big deal. They have the money, right? You're like, wow, cry me a river. You have $322,000 modified adjusted gross income. I think you can afford $188 logically is what you would think it would cost. I bet you're catching on. You're probably saying, I bet that's not what it is going to cost them. Correct. So let's take a look. Let me make this bigger for everybody. So they have this is the Part B 2024 income adjustment charge. So for them, if you look here, $322,000 is where they were. They make $1,000 more than that. So in this case, they could make actually just $1 more than that. And then that's going to put them over into a total monthly premium. Instead of $185.50, it's over $450 a month times 2, times 12. So let me ask you, friends out there, if you think that you're going to pay $185 or something, and it costs you almost, let's just say $460, almost $460 per month, are you happy or sad? If you're a budgeter, and most of my clients are, and that's why they have money, is because they've watched it and they've kept a budget, they're not happy, okay? They didn't understand that $1,000 sale of a stock that they didn't even need was going to then cost them over almost $280 a month per person for 12 months additional cost. And that is the ARMA cliff. So it's very important to understand it doesn't stop there. Your Part D, as in drugs, is also income dependent, and they have an inflated Part D as well. So almost a little bit over $100 for the two of them. So an additional $1,200 a month, $1,200 a year. So their total income adjusted charges is over $3,000. So let's just think about it. They sell stock for $1,000. They think they're going to have to pay $188 total capital gain, and they end up with a charge based on that transaction of $3,007.20. Now, here's something that I want everyone to understand. Some people would say that's not truly a tax, right? I think it is. I think anything that you pay more than your friend, neighbor, or relative pays based on income is a tax. And if you can control it, choose not to pay it, or know why you're paying it, then you're in control, and that is a win. Now, we can't control everything, right? But part of planning, part of understanding all of these moving parts and pieces is understanding if this, then this. Prepping people to understand what their budget should be 2 years down the road, helping them understand where they're going to be getting that money and not to worry. They have it. It's a shock. We know why we're doing it. And the next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is something called a Roth conversion. And in our practice at Clarity, we do a ton of this, and we talk about it a lot. And mainly it's for legacy, but it's also for clients that want to draw money out tax-free in retirement, okay? So the only really other thing I have as far as when you're living, right? So what can I do to pull money out tax-free while I'm living is like a cash value, is like life insurance, right? Or, tax-free retirement income. Income-free is not right. Tax-free retirement income through life insurance would be a great way to provide that. But that's something you have to plan on way early. And it takes a lot of premium to get to a substantial a substantial revenue for you through your life. But I just want to talk through this next little concept about Roth conversions, and then we will wrap up this topic and we will come back. So like I said, in each of these, I really want you to continue, and thank you again for sending me, emails and encouraging us to talk about specific things, because we have crafted the next season to do just that. And I think you're going to be really excited about the next season's topics. But if you want to know more about a Roth conversion and really understand how it is going to impact you in retirement, how compound interest with a Roth wrapper, what does that do for my savings, for my lifetime income plan, continue to reach out to us. We love it. So let me show this real quick. So once again, the year that you turn money from traditional IRA to Roth, or you convert, or you contribute, you're going to pay money that year, taxes that year. And then it's going to grow tax-free, and you're going to pull it out of your account at no tax. So it's a win, especially when you're trying to really navigate the tricky tax brackets that are going to be in the future. So let's just take a look. So this is supposed to say conversion. Sorry about that. Humans, we make mistakes, right? But filling up the bracket. So in our philosophy, we don't want to push you into another bracket. So we're always watching your Medicare brackets, understanding your premiums and what dollar is going to push you to the next bracket, like with Bill and Martha, right? Or George and Martha. I think it's George and Martha. But we also want to make sure we are not, if we're converting traditional IRA money to Roth, that we're filling up that bracket. So if you're already in the 22nd percent tax bracket, why wouldn't you fill that 22nd percent tax bracket up, pay the tax, and let it grow tax-free? Not just for you. Remember, also your heirs are going to be getting that money tax-free. Yes, you have to leave it into the account 5 years. I get it. Like, there are things that you have to do. Nothing is too good to be true, right? So you got to weigh the pros and cons. But it's very important to know that that is an option for you, especially if you are concerned about increasing taxes. If you're not, like I said, it's irrelevant. So when you retire and your tax, and maybe you haven't started Social Security yet, it's really important. Those are good years to be doing Roth conversions, be paying things off, things of that nature. Plan, get ready and get set, and stash some good emergency fund for travel and things like that. But we are excited to continue to get you to grow in curiosity about these topics and want to know more, want to know how to crack that retirement code and feel in control as much as possible, and as much as you want to be, right? You may not care. You may just want someone to handle it and tell you that you're okay. And that's okay too. But I will tell you that the more you're around it, the more that you talk about it, the more that you are leaning into an advisor and really explaining what keeps you up at night, the more you're going to understand, and you're going to be able to then impart on others that you care about in your community, in your family, and maybe your legacy. So continue to tune in. We love having you here, and we love the growing community of Care Conversations with Clarity. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look forward to wrapping up our season 1 in next week's episode. And I hope you have a wonderful night on this January 28th of 2025. Talk to you soon, and see you next time. Join our Clarity Financial Solutions family, where through education and others' experience, we empower you to make retirement choices with confidence. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook, or head on over to our website and sign up for our newsletter. If you'd like to further engage with us, please don't hesitate. Just reach out, 864-987-8729. See you next time on Care Conversations with Clarity.